Friday, 25th of September 2020. Market is preparing for the end of the week, but also trying to prepare for the end of the month, end of the quarter as well, coming as early as next week. Good afternoon from Europe, good morning, good evening guys, whatever you are. Piotr here is live for a global YouTube channel. Before we are going to discuss the charts, let's have a look what we have when it comes to the risk warning. Guys, please bear in mind, trading on margin carries a high level of risk, may not be suitable for investors who can sustain loss of some or initial investment. So please do not invest the money you cannot afford to lose. Seek education, gain experience before risking real money. However, past performance doesn't guarantee future results. Alright folks, so what we have? Well, we were trying to create double bottom when it comes to the Nasdaq. I told you yesterday that I don't like this equal bottom here, right? So further stop count could be in place. What do we have to the upside? I told you that the bounce might be unusually, or well, taking into the consideration latest price action, it was something usual. It was, you know, for those who already adopted to a higher volatility, it was easy to predict. Much worse for those who are trying to, you know, fade or any kind of the tiny rally or buy any kind of the tiny dip, right? Anyway, I told you that at least we are going to close the gap between what we've seen yesterday and Tuesday low, confluence of weekly open, Tuesday open, and actually that's what has happened, right? With upper shadow where we test 50% of the Wednesday range, right? So pretty much plenty of things to try to fade the rally, so congratulations if you are able to do that, right? Anyway, what shall we expect today? Well, risk off during the European hours, especially based on, that's the main reason, that's what media are playing right now, rapidly growing COVID cases in Europe, with the possibility to fully lock down Madrid. For now it's like more than 1 million people locked down Madrid, the UK, so overall that doesn't look good. Well, I wouldn't say it's the main reason. I would say we have you know, plenty of small reasons making the big reason, right? Because it's not only COVID, it's also the overall worldwide slowdown related to the COVID, or maybe COVID is the only explanation where, you know, you don't have names, right? Because otherwise with each and every slowdown, worldwide economic slowdown, usually we have some names behind. Today, for those responsible for that, well, they are hide behind the big wall called COVID, right? So that's pretty nice situation for all of those who screw. Anyway, let's not go that deep. Much more interested things when it comes to the chart. So what is going on here? Well, I'm not gonna be surprised if you are going to make, at least if you are going to make to try the same type of the rally, right? That would be the case with the closing the business, right? That's the number one. On the other hand, to see that stuff would be good to hold this swing low. If you remember, I've been thinking that maybe this type of the swing low is gonna to hold. No, we made low, so now Wednesday low as the first line of the possible demand, and because of some changes we can adopt the lines, we can make some changes, we can even remove that one. So that's the thing here. Here we can lower it. Yeah, that's here. Cool. Okay, and everything still below the consolidation we discussed before, 50 being tested, move down, and I do expect continuation to the downside, to be honest with you folks. So of course there always is a risk that the White House docs are gonna be out right? President Trump may order White House docs Kudlow, Nunchin to be out and trying to work with algo. But with that being said, let's switch lower. Okay, what we have, taking into the consideration yesterday price action and the slide we've seen on Wednesday, this slide on Wednesday, and the price action we've seen yesterday, right? There are two things I would like to point out. First thing first, in my opinion, that's the supply, and what is important during the Tokyo hours, we didn't take that out, so I'm going to move this line here, make it visible only on the 30-minute charts and lower. Okay, so that's my way to look for the shorts. So my first approach is going to be between 11,005 and 11,025 based on my chart I'm using, right? But to the downside, we have latest weakness from the intraday perspective being tested 4 times already. Or maybe 3, sorry. 1, 2, 3. And I do expect we might see a little bit deeper move, but then we have this over under, and that's where I do expect some bullish activity towards the end of the week, around 10,750. So overall, the range I see today is between 11,005, 11,025 to the upside and 10,750 to the downside, and that's what I'm going to try to trade during the US cash market. The DAX index looks much weaker than what we have here on the Nasdaq. The DAX already broke another important levels and is approaching significant support around 12,250, right? And the next one is around 11,700, right? Overall, if you remember, we were discussing that we cannot rule it out to move down even towards 10,000, right? This is no longer valid. That's the weekly open. As you can see, we even didn't test the 50% 62 of this DAX level on Wednesday. Strong move to the downside. Well, for now, from the intraday perspective, what I'm looking for here as you can see, 1, 2, 1 equal moves. Cannot be ruled out that if the Nasdaq is going to try to move back towards 11,005, 11,025, we might see attempt to pull back a bit here on the DAX, and this from here would be so nice, so measured move towards possible supply we have on that particular chart. So I'm looking to fade the rally towards 12,550, 620 when it comes to the DAX. Yes, the range is quite wide, but we have higher volatility. That's where I'm going to look for the possibility to fade the DAX. We still have 2 minutes to the US cash open, okay? So it's still time before we are going to check first 5-minute trading range on the Nasdaq. There we go. So let's have a look. Euro dollar. Euro dollar. Well, there was a attempt towards the end of the day yesterday to create the lower shadow. As you can see, that's what we discussed. Retest today towards the end of the week. Still for me, no change in view, and I think we might see this as early as next week. What I'm talking about is close the gap and 50 of the old range. Right, two very important levels in my opinion for now from the seller's perspective. Of course, to the downside, no change when it comes to the target 115, 114.50. That's the possible downside targets. Look to sell on rallies. Cable, there was attempt to break double doji USD Thursday and move back above this swing low or back above this swing high. All right, faded. So if you do remember from the educational section how I'm going to trade double doji, I'm looking to break down and move lower, but that's conservative approach for Monday. From the intraday perspective, what I'm gonna to look for today, that's the range. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, right? That's the range. Attempt to break the range, failure. Break 50% of that range, so probably we are going to see retest of the lower level. So there are two things I'm going to watch: either break or hold the low. All right, so I'm watching very carefully around the option expiration and then around the London fix. If the low, in particular this low here, what was it, 2680, yeah, 2681, if it's going to hold, that would create over under. All right, and if that's hold, liquidity, then move back to 2730 or 2770 could be in place. If we are going to break that through solidly, then retest of the mid of that range is a key. So this 2680 for now as a key when it comes to the cable. All right, US cash market is open. Let's have a look what we have. First 5 minutes gone. In the meantime, I'm going to draw the lines, and in the meantime I'm going to mention, because there was a durable good orders out of the US, was positive 0.4 as well as core 0.4, but much weaker what market was expecting at the level around 1, and much weaker compared to the previous core 2.6 and durable 11.4. So overall there is another reason, taking all of them into the consideration, why we might see, maybe not today because of the upcoming weekend, but next week, towards the end of the week, towards end of the month and end of the quarter, why we might see weaker stocks. There was no gain, no momentum. Data is showing we are slowing down, so end of the month might be very interesting. So next week another interesting week, and I'm going to get back into that with the update I'm going to prepare over the weekend. All right, market is trying to go lower, but as you know, I'm waiting for a little bit higher levels, right? That's what we already discussed. That's my selling around 11.005. You know, at some point when Europe is going to go home, right, we are going to stay with the US guys, and really, if your week was poor, you don't wanna make the recovery trade with US guys, because you might double your losses, right? If your week was good, I'm sorry, there is no reason for you to chase the market. Sometimes it's better to a little bit earlier start your weekend. With that being said, overall guys, Well, bearish when it comes to the indices, looking to sell Nasdaq, looking to sell DAX. I'm looking to sell euro dollar, but that's probably going to happen next week, unless we are going to see spike today. And I'm looking for the 26.80 on the pound to either trade long or short from intraday perspective. That's it ahead of the weekend from me. I'm going to prepare a few updates over the weekend, so stay tuned. Have a great one. Thank you very much. See you around.